That's right, that was the intro to our game as it stands right now.
We've also got some pretty exciting news for you about our demo version of the game.
So stay tuned and be sure to comment your suggestions on this episode of RPG Maker Adventures.
First off, we'd like to show you a couple of features we've added to the game. As always, feedback is appreciated.
In order to establish Heinrich as a true thief, we've made him some suitable abilities. One of those is Stealth, which allows him to become less visible and sneak around guards or other enemies. This is especially useful in situations where Heinrich has to steal a specific item without getting spotted.
Another one is to, in combat, be able to steal items your enemy has on him. These abilities will be able to be upgraded throughout the game.
As we talked about earlier, we'll be using your suggestions as side quests too. In the game, they will look a little something like this. Talking about side quests, RonBE commented there should be a maze inside Nordfall Tunnel. We liked this idea and ran with it.
However, for the main storyline, as far as last week's question number 1 is concerned, we've gone with Zai-Zai's idea and named our rival merchant Reginald Reggie Storms, with his matching background story.
That same Zai-Zai, a first-time commenter, swayed us with his answer on the second question as well. Although honorable mentions go to Just Ochre, Mr. Weird Guy, and Bakester42. We'll be using your suggestions later in the game.
From your comments it was clear that most of you were against random encounters. We heard your plight, fixed encounters it is. And with your stealth ability, should you wish, you'll even be able to avoid some of those as well.
If only the last question had been equally clear. With 4 votes against an overworld, most of which opted for a teleport system, and 4 votes in favor, we had to make a tough call. Because the maps we've already made are far more easy to adapt to the fast travel variant, we've decided to go without an overworld. But we will be implementing a teleport system at a later stage.
It's time for this week's questions. Firstly, Annabeth will always be able to use 2 creatures simultaneously in combat, one for offense, each with different special moves. In this case, you'll have a boar as your starter. She will, however, also be able to use a smaller animal as a familiar, which will improve her stats. So we want you to give us a first smaller animal for her to find. Give us a good combination of a species and an ability.
Another thing to consider is if our characters will be able to use tools outside of battle and at will. This can give a new dynamic to puzzle solving in the game, and it might be useful in interacting with enemies. A good example of this is in Lufia, where Maxim can use tools to stun enemies. Also, is each character limited to one specific tool? Give us some creative ideas.
Thirdly, since we've gone with Zai-Zai's Smith Brothers idea, we should work this out in more detail. How many Smith Brothers exactly are there? How do our heroes first encounter them? Is there a possibility that Heinrich, being a thief, joins them? Anything goes. But please keep Zai-Zai's basic original idea as groundworks.
Oh yeah, before I forget, because we need a title for our upcoming demo release, and yes, there will be an upcoming demo, we need a name for our game's world, and the working title for the game itself.
So, to recap, question number 1. What kind of creature is Annabeth's first familiar?
Question number 2. Should tools be included in the game? If yes, give us some good examples.
Thirdly, we need more in-depth info on the Smith Brothers.
And our final question, what would be a good name for the world Heinrich lives in? And what would be a good working title for the game?
Oh yeah, we will probably be releasing a playable demo of the game by next episode, so stay tuned for that.
I'm also uploading a short episode before the release where I go through all the scripts I've added to the game, for those who are interested. So until next time, at another episode of Crying Mass Studios RPG Maker Adventures.